What do you know?
I don't know a thing, John. I'm the same boat you're in. You talk to all kinds of different people. All signals are he's going to run. I remember all signals once were that Mitt Romney was going to run. Years ago when Dan Balz and I were young, all signals were that Mario Cuomo was going to run. So let's just see what he does. My guess right now is that they intend to run, but 48 hours can be a long time.
Dan, if he does get in, what is required for him to launch well?
Well, he needs to be able to, right off the bat, have a compelling message that is something other than "I'm not Hillary Clinton." There's been so much attention focused on whether this decision is being based on an assessment of her strength. I think that's not necessarily the basis of the decision, but that's certainly the way the outside world is judging it. If he gets in, he's got to come up with something other than that to show what he really wants to do and where he wants to take the country. It's not that different from what any other successful candidate does at the beginning of a campaign.
Dan, we've had a lot of polling now over the last few months that had Joe Biden as part of a hypothetical race. Tell us what you think at this moment, whether it's right to assume that Bernie Sanders is the happiest man in America if Joe Biden gets in, given that it seems that Biden is going to draw support from Clinton more than he will from Sanders.
Everything we've seen in our polling and other people's polling suggests that Biden takes from Clinton, and that if Biden is not in the race, most of his support goes to Clinton. And so for Sanders, that's exactly right. I mean, I think there's some Biden people who think that there's a distinctive constituency for each of the three candidates, and that over the course of a long campaign they might be able to prevail. But that would have to play out. That's all hypothetical at this point.
Al, one of the notable things Hillary Clinton did in the debate, it seemed to me, was to try to cling close to President Obama and to talk about being part of the administration. If Biden gets in, do those two have a fight over who is the true heir to Barack Obama?
I think they might do a little bit of that, but I don't think it's much going to matter. Mark, look, as someone writing about this campaign, I hope Joe Biden gets in. It makes it more fun, more interesting. But I can't see a pathway to victory for him. I think they have their differences. She's more hawkish on foreign policy, but that'll be fuzzed over a bit. He's a little bit more of a populist. That'll be fuzzed over a bit. They may argue about Obama. She'll say, I was his Secretary of State. He'll say, I was his Vice President. I don't think that's going to determine much. I just think that Joe Biden is a guy that almost everybody likes, but they got to ask the question, is the capstone of a remarkable career to lose the nomination for the presidency for the third time? And that's what it looks like will happen.
Dan, let me ask you about demographics here, right? At the moment, you've got Hillary Clinton. One of her presumed strengths is that she's strong with Hispanic Americans, strong with African Americans. Bernie Sanders, almost all of his vote is white right now, liberal, young, right? Joe Biden gets in. How does that complicate things, both the gender, in terms of the gender split, also maybe in terms of some of the racial and ethnic split?
Well, it's hard to know what would happen with the gender split. I mean, she does well with women, not so well with men. We know that already. It's not clear to me exactly how Biden how he would cut into either of those constituencies. On the racial makeup, Joe Biden has been a champion of civil rights all his life. He should have some support, but I think that the Clintons have deeper ties in the African American community, and he would have to battle her for that constituency.
Al, as we get closer to February, I know you don't think much of Biden's chances, but will electability matter to Democratic voters if Biden is shown doing stronger in head-to-head against Republicans? Do you think that will matter to voters at all?
It's got to be significantly different, Mark. And as you noted earlier, the polls don't show that right now. If it looks like Hillary Clinton is a almost certain loser and Joe Biden looks like a real winner, perhaps that'll make a difference. But usually, I don't think people vote on the basis of who's going to do better 9 months later. And Joe Biden should be encouraged by some of my track record, because I've been wrong more than a few times before. But I just think Dan is right. There are a whole lot of places where Joe's strong, but she's there. She may even be stronger. Joe's terrific with labor unions, but a lot of labor unions are going to say, wait a minute, she looks more like a winner.
Let me ask you a mechanical question. I'm going to ask this to both of you guys. First Al and then Dan. Al, the people around Biden who have been counseling him politically, which is a very small group, smaller than his usual group, seem to have convinced him that this is doable on the mechanical front. He can build a team. He can raise the money. Do you think that they are right?
Not compared to Hillary Clinton. That head start is going to make a huge difference. It's going to make a huge difference organizationally. It's going to make a huge difference financially. Biden's got some people who've been through this before. They're not neophytes, but they're really kind of going almost from a standing start, and that's going to be very, very challenging. The only caveat there is they do have time in the early states, which of course this is not a national primary. It's a bunch of individual states to begin with, and they have time to get organized in Iowa and New Hampshire, I think.
Dan, what do you think about that? Can they get this together on the fly just as a matter of mechanics?
Up to a point, but I'm not sure I agree with Al on Iowa. I think they would have to work very hard to put together the kind of organization that Clinton seems to be building out there. You know, we never know until caucus day what an organization's capabilities really are. I think that the Biden folks think that the long game is their game. That winning in Iowa or New Hampshire is not the key to his hopes of winning the nomination, that they have to win later on. That's a dicey game to play.
Yeah, it seems to me the key to his chances are Bernie Sanders winning in Iowa and New Hampshire, and that's the path that Al, I think, may be there if Sanders can do the work for Biden in those early states.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree.